Hello and welcome to another episode of the Empowered Hormones podcast. I'm your host, Sheridan Decker, and today I'm super excited to have, I don't even know if I'm going to say it right, Kaya?
Yeah, yeah.
Kaya Siri, the co-founder or are you sole founder of Happy Bum Co?
It is me, myself, and I, girlfriend.
Amazing. So she's going to jump on today and chat to us a little bit about enemas, how, why, frequently asked questions, myths, and things around it. So she's the gut health specialist, a mother of three, and there we go, founder of Australia's leader in detox and gut health products. So the Happy Bum Co. So thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
My question is, how did you get down the route of enemas and everything, healthy, happy bums? What was your driving factor? Because like we just said, it's such a niche area. There's got to be a health story or something behind it that you went, I'm changing people's lives and this is how I'm going to do it.
Well, I think it's probably no surprise that enemas were the changing factor in my life because we always act on our own experience. So when I was 13, my bowel actually stopped moving. I had what they called colonic inertia. So the really interesting thing, though, is that I actually didn't know because as a kid and as a teenager, no one talked to me about regular bowel movements and gut health. So I actually stopped going to the toilet and I didn't know that that was not normal. It just was me and my body. And I was eating a really horrible diet. I was really stressed, a lot of not so great things happening in the home space, a lot of antibiotics as a kid for frequent sinus infections. And it kind of all mounted up in those teenage years when I was about 13 that things got really, really bad and my bowel stopped entirely.
Oh, I didn't know that
And
was a thing.
yes, and it's actually more common than you think because I thought I was the only person in the whole world. And once we figured out what the problem was, I actually didn't go to the toilet for about 3 months. And I landed myself in the emergency room with what they suspected was an appendix burst because I was having pretty much labor contractions as my body's final attempt to basically get unseptic, to move this waste out. I looked like I was 9 months pregnant. My belly was so sore and swollen, huge. And yeah, I ended up in the emergency room and had some x-rays done. And the doctor came out and said, "Girl, you are full of shit." And that was basically how we figured out that I even had a problem because I had no idea. And really interestingly, my parents are actually both doctors. So it was interesting. Gut health was not a topic that we ever spoke about in our house, a very private household. There's a medication for everything, but we did not treat things holistically and we never spoke about gut health. So I had no one to base it off of. I didn't have any siblings. And that is how I landed myself in the position to need something like an enema kit because I was so compacted for so long. And once we figured out the problem, it was really clear that there are no good solutions that Western medicine really has to offer for someone who is constipated like me. I tried every laxative, every trial drug, every invasive test, colonoscopies, all the things, and they all came back normal. And I was pretty much left by the time. So I spent 3 years going through all the diagnosis and everything. They couldn't find anything wrong with me. Bloods are fine, even though I was sick as a dog. I had no energy. My skin was like horrible. I was yellow. I had like extreme brain fog. I mean, everything. And it took till I was 16 that the gastroenterologist said, "Look, the only thing we have left to do is actually rip out 90% of your colon and give you a colorectomy bag." And my parents
Whoa.
were both doctors, said, "Absolutely not. That is not the life that we want for our daughter. And we know the real success rate of surgeries. And we have to find something else." And So that is when we started looking for any kind of alternative to, to basically life altering surgery. And we actually found colonics first. So I found colonics first, which was really needed. And that's that really deep colon cleanse. And for those of you who don't know, I also own a colon hydrotherapy clinic and have been a colon hydrotherapist for over 13 years because that was my first love because the relief was instant. I had spent years trying everything else and nothing worked and no one would listen to me. And I went and had a colonic at this incredibly gorgeous clinic back in Seattle where I grew up, and it changed my life forever. And all of a sudden I could get immediate relief that had no side effects and was helping to heal my bowel instead of ruin it more. And my energy levels came back, my skin, my just vitality in general. I couldn't believe it. And I was instantly like, okay, this is for me. What can I do? What can I do to help heal my gut? But as I started to detoxify, I learned how my bowels work and my gut works and all the things. And I realized that, hey, I actually need to be going a couple times a day. And this isn't happening because my bowel is essentially paralyzed from a whole number of different things. And I was going in for colonics once or twice a week, but colonics are quite expensive. And I needed relief in between my sessions because otherwise I wasn't going, no matter how much fiber and how many probiotics and all the things. I ate the most perfect diet at once I learned how, but it wasn't enough. And that is where the enemas came in, because an enema bag is basically a little mini colonic that you can do at home. And I could give myself relief anytime I wanted, anywhere, anyhow. I could travel with it anytime if I ate something that didn't agree with me, or if I got stressed or whatever it was that was my trigger, I could do an enema. And all of a sudden, I had the power back and the control over my own body back. And for someone who's been chronically ill, that that's the number one thing that is taken from you is your freedom. And my enema kit gave me that back. And as I began to heal and detoxify, I delved deeper into enemas and then learned all about coffee enemas and all the liver detoxification because I had been diagnosed with PCOS and had terrible periods and all the hormonal issues. And once I started to do coffee enemas, all of that magically disappeared. As I started to clear my liver, I was told I would never have kids, and I felt pregnant naturally after doing regular coffee enemas for, a couple years. It was just all the pieces started to fit together for me. So, yeah, I opened my own colon hydrotherapy clinic in 2018 and then realized how many people out there needed the support of enemas as well. And there were so many people that were reaching out to me from all over the world saying, I've heard your story. This is me. How can you help me? And I couldn't send them a colonic, but I could send them an enema kit.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's how the Happy Bum Car was born.
that's insane. My brain, like the first thing I start thinking though is that if you were that constipated for that long, you must have had some form of SIBO or bacteria in there as well. Because if things weren't moving, there must have been so much stuff growing because it's just sitting there. Like your microbiome would have been out of control.
Out of control. But also the amount of antibiotics I had because I, as a kid, had access to all that. And my parents like, oh, you've got a sinus infection. Oh, here you go.
Yeah.
I mean, I was probably on 5 courses of antibiotics a year as a kid.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't grow back. And then, of course, you're not feeding it well. I was eating tons of sugar. I mean, my microbiome would have just been out of control.
Yeah, that's insane.
And I felt every symptom from it.
Yeah, and then to have all that hormonal flow and effect as well, like I guess that's kind of natural when you've had all those gut symptoms and gut issues as well.
And so many toxins, like spray on deodorant. I was like a typical American teen, like my everything was toxic and I had no idea.
Yeah. So when did you move to Australia?
I moved to Australia in 2010. So
Okay.
I've been here for about 13 years,
Yeah.
but it was around the time I studied colon hydrotherapy, but I'd already been having colonics since I was 16. So I was 19 when I moved.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so I found clinics here. I started having colonics here. It really dictated where I could go because I had to get relief. My bowel didn't just magically wake up, which a lot of people do find. I have since, really had some amazing progress with that. But yeah, it's definitely something that is going to be a part of my life forever.
Yeah. Yeah. So now you still have enemas regularly, or what does that look like?
Yeah. So for me, what I've learned over the years and through all of my gut health studies and personal experience is your gut is so directly connected to your emotions. And for me, my bowel, and this is for anyone, your bowel's kind of in that sacral chakra, which is safety and security. And it's the first thing that turns off when you go into fight or flight mode. The blood goes out of your digestive system into your arms and legs. And for me, it was a safety mechanism, something that my body felt like it could control when things in my life were very out of control. So for me, I've noticed that as a stress response, my body doesn't like to go to the toilet.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people suffer with that as well. So for me, I do my water enemas or my coffee enemas every morning to make sure I do have a bowel movement. And if everything is going well and I'm taking my fiber and doing the things, I eat a like pristine diet, organic and plant-based and all the things. But it's more than that as well. And it's the right bacteria, you know all the things. But for me, I still do my coffee enemas 3 or 4 times a week unless I'm quite stressed. So I'm a mum of three and I have two businesses and
Yeah.
life these days is just kind of fast paced. And for me, I handle it really well up here and my gut takes it. So
I hear you. Yeah.
I'm someone that really believes in supporting the body to function optimally. And I think just for me and where my life sits, that is something I need. It's just something to help me regulate my nervous system regularly.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I think the biggest myths or questions I hear around enemas is people going, should I just be doing it if I'm constipated? But the way you're talking and the things I've picked up over the years is that there's so much more to it than constipation as well, isn't it? Like there's other benefits.
Absolutely. So, a water enema is just constipation, but the reality is we're living in this world of toxins.
Mm,
Everything, the air we breathe, the food we eat, the soil that everything is grown in, the products you spray, deodorants, and there's heavy metals, there's pesticides, there's so many toxic chemicals that you don't even realize that you're consuming on a daily basis. Whether or not, I have like made it my life's mission to be as low tox as possible because I have been to that place of unwellness and realized that the toxicity was the real big problem. And I still detoxify my liver regularly because of it. So we are just not designed for the toxic world that we live in. And your coffee enemas actually stimulate phase 1 and phase 2 liver detoxification in the body, which is why they're so amazing for hormones. They activate your parasympathetic nervous system. So that's your rest and digest. So if you're in a stress state, a lot of people with anxiety will use coffee enemas and they feel really calm after, and you have this big release. And that's because of that parasympathetic nervous system. When you do a coffee enema, it stimulates your glutathione production, which is an antioxidant detoxifier that's present in every cell of your body and is responsible for your immune system. It's responsible for, oxidative stress, and so many different things can help remove heavy metals and free radical cells, which is why, people doing the natural cancer therapies use it to help boost their antioxidant levels and get rid of free radical cells. And really, they healing your gut and detoxifying your liver can help with just about anything. Another, I know, you treat a lot of women. So for women out there that are having, any kind of hormonal symptoms, the phase 1 and phase 2 liver detoxification also helps to eliminate excess estrogen. So a
mm,
lot of PMS symptoms and a lot of hormonal symptoms are caused by excess estrogen. And the coffee enemas help to eliminate the excess estrogen your body's trying to get rid of so it doesn't get reabsorbed back into the body. So
Yeah, I love that because I do all the Dutch testing and dried urine hormone testing, and we can look at those liver pathways of that 2OH or 4OH, 16OH, and go, okay, we've got phase one, phase two, what's working here? And often we're going, like, yes, glutathione or N-acetylcysteine or our DIM or whatever it is that we're kind of going, let's stimulate that phase one. Because so often you're right, that is blocked up. Or we got the phase two with the lack of minerals and Bs and vitamins and dietary stuff as well. But if you've got an enema kit coming in there and supporting those phases as well, that's super beneficial. Plus, sort of what we call phase three, actual having a bowel movement, which a lot of women aren't. So I love how that sort of works in with the whole thing. So if it's the coffee is then stimulating our liver, is it giving us that caffeine hit? Can we have it if we're having our regular coffee and drinking it?
doing a coffee enema is totally different to drinking a coffee because it doesn't go through the digestive system.
Mm.
So when we're drinking coffee orally, we know it can be quite dehydrating, can be acidic, can give you that kind of anxiety, jittery sort of, caffeine buzz. But when you do a coffee enema, it's very different because it actually gets absorbed straight in through the portal veins and into the bloodstream and then stimulates that bile production and the glutathione production. So most people report feeling a lot more calm, a lot more grounded because it is activating that parasympathetic nervous system. So you can still drink coffee and do coffee enemas, but they work in very different ways. And if you do drink coffee, you're a very good candidate for doing coffee enemas because it's going to help support the liver and the adrenal fatigue and the caffeine that we're having in another way, which is a liver loader.
Yeah, right. Interesting. Because I feel like that's like one of those common myths is I can't drink my coffee and have, coffee up my bum in a sense. So people are like, well, I've got to choose one or the other. But is there other myths that you commonly hear that you would go, that is not true either?
Yeah, totally. There's so many misconceptions around enemas. I think that's a big one. Also, if you get jittery drinking coffee, if you don't drink coffee, people think they couldn't do a coffee enema, but I don't drink any coffee, and it's that because drinking coffee makes me feel very jittery, and I don't drink any caffeine at all. But doing a coffee enema is a totally different experience, very calming, very like naturally energizing. So that's a common myth. So you can absolutely do coffee enemas even if you don't drink any caffeine or any coffee. People often think that coffee enemas are really dangerous and you lose a lot of good gut bacteria and electrolytes in a scary way. And I always have a bit of a chuckle because when we drink coffee, it's very, very dehydrating, which can really impact your gut microbiome and your electrolytes. And, there's not someone running around every coffee shop, you seeing the line going, oh, have you had your electrolytes after this? Like, oh, excuse me. Like, I mean, look, I'm all for I love electrolytes and I love probiotics, but one coffee enema is not going to make or break any kind of level you have with bacteria or electrolytes. Definitely be hydrated. I love electrolytes, but this is not some big scary life altering experience doing one coffee enema. If you're doing regularly, like bowel movements, we're going to release good and bad bacteria with any bowel movement that we have. If you're doing an enema, you're going to get a bigger bowel movement, so more both good and bad will come out. However, if you're suffering from a lot of gut health issues, there's a really good chance that you have a lot of stuff that doesn't belong in there. You could have, like you were saying earlier, SIBO, candida, parasites, mold, bad bacteria overgrowth that is present in the bowel. And we really need to get out so that we can actually create a healthy environment for good bacteria to flourish.
Yeah, because the other thing is like you do the coffee enemas, but there's other things you do. You have probiotic blends or you have other blends of things, don't you? Not just the coffee.
Yeah, absolutely. So we take a really holistic stance because, detoxing is one part of it. So we kind of take a two-step approach at the Happy Bum Co. So step one is detoxing everything out. People often like to skip to step two where they're trying to replenish all the good bacteria. But if you've got candida and parasites and a whole big buildup of stool and toxins, you really need to start with the detox. get everything out first that doesn't belong. And then we have a whole range of bulb blends, which we use to basically infuse back into the body after you detox. And that can help with your good bacteria. The Happy Bum Biotic helps actually recolonize good bacteria, go straight into your colon. So most people don't realize when they take an oral supplement that they actually lose a lot of that bacteria as it goes to the digestive system and the stomach acid. A Happy Bum bulb, you implant it exactly where you want it to be. We've got a hormone blend, an anti-inflammatory blend, a calm blend for stress. You can do our greens powder that way to alkalize. There's so many cool things that you can do it's kind of like, I tell people it's kind of like taking a wheatgrass shot, but the other way, and it absorbs straight into your bloodstream, and the effects are just amazing. So if you're someone that's suffering with a lot of inflammation or hormone troubles, you could do a coffee enema first to detoxify, stimulate all the antioxidants and the liver function, and then support after by either putting your probiotics back in if you're having gut health issues, or you can do your hormone blend to support your healthy hormone function. The options are endless, and it's kind of like a toolkit that you can use on the day for whatever you need. So this morning I did a coffee enema and a soothe blend, which is the anti-inflammatory and calm to like help my nervous system and inflammation.
So would you do your enema kit first and then you put the blend in and then do that afterwards?
So I prepare 2 blends. So I do my coffee enema first, because that way your colon's nice and clear as well. So anytime you do an enema, you also get like an epic bowel movement that helps with bloating, constipation, removing anything that's not supposed to be there. You have a nice comfy tummy after, but it's also clearing the way so that we can absorb things that way. Because if you do, say you put we do use like 100 to 200 mils of a solution. If you have a bowel movement sitting right there, it's a lot harder to hold. So if you do the coffee enema first, clear everything out, sit on the toilet, and then we have these cute little bulbs that it's like a little handheld, and you just pop your little solution in there, stick the tip up, and then you just hold it up, and the little bit of solution comes in, and then it just absorbs straight into the body, and you just go about your day.
Oh, that's amazing.
Doesn't even feel like you need to go. It just absorbs straight in. And away you go. So you just get those properties just go straight where you need them. So for people with like Crohn's and colitis and anti-inflammatory bowel disease, anyone with joint pain, I mean, anything that's inflammatory, everything's inflammatory, right? You can do the turmeric ones are just amazing, but any of the blends for specific reasons.
Yeah. So I know you've got some great videos and stuff on this anyway, but can you talk us through sort of briefly how to actually do an enema and what's sort of involved in it? Because I think there'd be a lot of people who are like, I know what a colonic is in a sense, or what and how does the enema work?
An enema is so easy. It's basically a little silicone bag that holds 2 liters of solution. It has a little hanging hook. You lay a towel down on the floor or on a little bench, wherever you want to lay, and then you hang the bag above you. So it's a gravity flow that carries the solution into your colon. So the tip is little and silicone and soft. And basically, when you're ready, you make your blend. You say your coffee, you cool to body temperature, you pour it in the bag. We have a plunger that comes with the kit. It just makes it so easy. You strain it, make sure it's body temperature, and then you pour it into your Happy Bum bag, and then you lay your little towel down. I get a pillow, make myself comfy. You can lubricate the tip with a little bit of coconut oil or shea butter, whatever you've got, and then you just pop that one up when you're ready. Either lie down on your side or your back. I put my feet up, but you don't have to, however you're comfortable. And there's a little clip that allows the flow to start coming in. You open the clip and gravity just pulls the solution nice and gently into your colon. And say for a water enema for constipation, you would just try to take the whole bag and sit immediately on the toilet, because the whole purpose of a water enema is just to soften the stool and release it all out. There's no therapeutic benefits. But a coffee enema has therapeutic benefits. So we actually want to take a smaller amount of solution and hold it for about 12 to 15 minutes. And that's what stimulates that glutathione production, the bile production, and that liver detox benefit. So the coffee enemas, we use about 600 to 800 mils of solution, which is just the organic coffee enema. And then we hold it for as long as we can in that 12 to 15 minute span. Your first coffee enema, probably you won't last that long. And that's okay. And that's because your body is toxic or you've got high levels of inflammation. It's just more reason to keep doing them
Yeah.
because you will get to the point where it is easy for you to hold. It just might take time. It depends what's going on in your body and what needs to come out.
Yeah, interesting. Because I went through like years ago when I was starting all my gut stuff and I had chronic constipation and all the bacteria overgrowth and everything. And I got such relief from colonics, but I was like the same as you. Like initially I was going like once a week because I needed to have a bowel movement and I was like, got to do a colonic. And then I was like, I can't afford to go 2 or 3 times a week and was sort of relying on laxatives and things and then did the gut health work. And a lot of that's cleared up and don't have issues now. But a lot of my friends, a lot of clients have used enemas, but I've never used them because by the time they sort of came into my awareness, I was having regular bowel movements already. And I kind of went, well, I don't need it anymore because I'm already having bowel movements. And then I've got your kit sitting here, which I was going to do after this podcast. But my thought was like, there's so many other things because I've struggled with PCOS and everything else from all the gut stuff too. And now we go, actually, this has got further flow-on effects, which is really, really great. But my other question then, if someone has loose stools, like someone's got hydrogen dominant SIBO and they're having, 2, 3, 4, 5 loose stool bowel movements a day, should they be doing them? Is there contraindications around enemas or how does that work?
So for someone that's having loose stool, coffee enemas are anti-parasitic and anti-candida, and they can really help actually get rid of a lot of the things we don't want, mold in the gut. And then as we detoxify, often diarrhea, I mean, that's one reason for diarrhea, but diarrhea can also be inflammation. It can be actually lining buildup of stool and mucoid plaque along the colon lining. So sometimes people with diarrhea actually need a really strong colon cleanse. And we see that a lot in our colonics clinic. So really different reasons for diarrhea. Diarrhea can also be parasites as well. So again, coffee enemas are anti-parasitic. So a lot of people message through and they're like, oh my God, I've seen worms. And we're like, yeah, that's probably why you've been so bloated for the last, 2 years. And so again, with everything needs to come out before we put it in. But that person as well, when we're having diarrhea, there's a lot of inflammation. And that person would also be a really good candidate for the Soothe blend, which is the anti-inflammatory. So the turmeric enemas are just so good to calm everything down. But generally, it's things need to come out. There's something in there that's causing that type of bowel movement and it needs to come out. Again, if you're having so much loose stool, you're going to want to be taking an electrolyte or something to replenish and obviously the right kind of bacteria for whatever it is that you're treating. But yeah, usually the inflammation and the irritants need to come out and the coffee enema can be really helpful with that. And then I would be doing the Soothe blend, which is the anti-inflammatory. And then you can even be, if there's this very specific probiotic strain that they need, they could use the bulb for that, or they can use our biotic blend, which is a really powerful one, proven for like IBS and IBD, to help replenish the colon.
Yeah, because a lot of it, like when I'm seeing it, it's from that hydrogen-driven SIBO. Like it is like 99% of the time. If it's constipation, then yeah, sometimes it's methane or sometimes it's large bacteria, but often it's either parasite or that the real hydrogen stuff, which I guess the enema kit's going to help with and clear. And like you said, then actually you can pop that bulb up with the probiotics, which is going to be super helpful as well. So then if someone has regular bowel movements, how often would you do a coffee enema? Like once, twice a week?
Well, it depends. So, is the person having regular bowel movements but hormonal issues? Is the person taking a lot of medication but having regular bowel movements? So, everyone has a different lens, I suppose, on why they would need to be detoxifying the liver. So, if you are like in your peak, so for me, I'm in peak condition. I have actually no health problems except that my bowel is quite slow. So I do them for constipation to make sure that my detox pathways are open because I've been there and I am never going back. So huge believer in bowel movements, lots of them
Yeah.
every day. But, if I'm ever feeling real, say, stress is a big one for me, because my life is full, but I'm very aware of it. So I take those steps to really manage my cortisol levels and my hormones. When I've had my babies, your hormones are a bit out of whack. So I would be doing my coffee enemas to support hormones, or because if you're losing a lot of sleep as well, so new parents, you're losing a lot of sleep, which really affects your hormone function. And so knowing those things that can support your hormones is really important. But if you are constipated, you can be doing them as often as you need. That's amazing relief that's at your fingertips. If you are, say, your skin is really bad, you can use your coffee enemas to help to stimulate that liver to detoxify, and that is going to make all the difference in your skin. I have seen the changes in so many people, and it's just
Wow.
helping to clear out your liver is just incredible. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you just poo everything out. It's just that toxicity doesn't need to then, often people take supplements and it can take so long, and oh, well, it's kind of worked, but then my bowels aren't really moving more than once a day, so they're not all coming out, and then the toxins get reabsorbed back into the bloodstream. The enema is just like a surefire
Yeah.
get all the toxins out, and then they leave your body right then and there, which is so cool.
Yeah, yeah. So a lot of my clients, as they come pregnant as well, they're struggling with constipation. Obviously, structural changes and things. But
Yeah.
is it something that's safe? Would you just do the water one in pregnancy then, and that's your safest bet? Yeah.
We do have a little pregnancy bundle because we get this question so many times. But yes, water enemas during pregnancy, because it's just to help that stool move through, helps to hydrate everything. I did a water enema every single day of all three of my pregnancies and never had a problem. But also, my midwives were super on board, loved it. Did them during labor to help clear the way, because a lot of women actually have bowel movements when they give birth, and so much pressure, especially if your bowel movements have been really off during your pregnancy. You are pushing a baby out. You also don't need kilos of stool sitting there. You just don't. So, oh my gosh, pregnancy water enemas are life changing. And we also have a product called Happy Bum Mag, which is magnesium oxide that just helps to basically like liquefy the stool. So the two together, if you're really constipated, are like a match made in heaven. And that's totally pregnancy safe as well.
Yeah, that's awesome because a lot of my clients will take a magnesium citrate or oxide just to help get those bowels moving. But if you can do that through an enema kit as well, that would be incredible because I can think of a few clients straight away who go, "Oh, that would just
Yeah,
be game changing for them." Even
absolutely.
post pregnancy, like my one of my best friends in Perth's got a 6 month year old, and since like giving birth, she's just like, I've just really been struggling with bowel movements, and I'm like, you do the classic stuff, sort of your magnesium cascara and things, but she's like, things just aren't moving the way they used to prior to bub. So I think something like that would be super helpful as well.
It is. And enema kits are actually, this is another common misconception. People think that enemas make your bowel lazy. And gravity enemas like we use, so you can go buy a little Fleets enema in the store, and yes, that will make your bowel lazy because it's chemicals, and it's nowhere near enough solution to do anything. But the Happy Bum Bag gravity enema kits are actually helpful to retrain and stimulate peristalsis in the colon. So it actually helps your own body have a bowel movement and makes the muscles stronger and kind of kicks them back into gear. So a lot of people actually start doing enemas and find that their normal bowel movements also improve.
That's incredible.
And
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
amazing. I feel
see
like
why I love enemas so much.
I feel like doctors should be heading out enema kits rather than laxatives. Like, imagine if you could do that and be like,
A
please
hundred
go get an
percent.
enema or like start doing them regularly at home.
Oh
It would
yeah.
just be game changing.
It is, because when you detoxify your body and heal your gut, all your other problems go away too. So that's what happened to me. I was doing enemas for my constipation, but then my PMS disappeared. And all of a sudden, I went from having POS to falling pregnant naturally on my own so easily. Was not expecting my son. I thought they were like, "You'll never fall pregnant." I'm like, okay. Yeah, my husband and I, oh wow, I guess that's not true. But it was years of healing the gut and detoxifying, and literally everything just disappeared, and my skin and my energy levels and brain fog and sugar crave, like all these things that are tied to your gut. When you start to detoxify, they just alleviate.
Yeah, because I even think personally, like I get such a bad acne flare when I'm stressed with work because obviously androgens and estrogen and everything's like, Sheridan, we're so busy. Like, let's pump out the hormones. And then I notice it in my skin. But I feel like having something like that on hand and even obviously doing it regularly, but maybe increasing it over that week or two where I'm like, I'm under a lot of mental load right now, it would just help that whole nervous system regulation and that liver support.
It is, and the mental clarity that follows a coffee enema is
Mm.
amazing.
Yeah.
People often too, my background isn't in mental health. And I sort of started everything with a gut health lens. I'm like constipation, constipation, constipation. And then I have these people coming to me like, my mental health is so much better than it used to be. And one of the girls that works with me has been doing them for depression and anxiety, and the change is incredible. Panic attacks, and people write into us from all over the world and they're like, I'm sleeping for the first time, or I'm like my anxiety is improved tenfold, my depression is better. And it's all because we're detoxifying, calming the nervous system. It's like this triple whammy of all the good things at once, and your clarity, you're able to like be more calm and actually focus. And when we're in that heightened state, you know how things like can spiral really quickly. It's kind of something, and it's a really proactive tool that you have anytime you want at home to bring you back. So whenever life feels out of control, this and that, it's like, okay, well, I know there's something I can do that's going to really benefit me and stimulate my liver. And, I'm going to get through this. And you feel so much better after. And you're like, okay, I'm good.
I love this. Like you've just turned what was a horrible experience in, your early childhood, your teens, into something amazing now that's helping, thousands of people across the globe with their health and on a like as we talked about, such a spectrum of things from hormones, pregnancy, constipation, nervous system, all that stuff. Like that's just your story is amazing. It blows me away. And just the change you're doing is just like hats off to you. It's incredible.
Oh, thank you. I guess what does it for me is I just hope that I can alleviate the pain for someone else that I went through. And I am trying to provide the awareness and the tools that I wish had been given to me when I was originally having my bowel issues. Like you said, I wish I had gone to my doctor with constipation. He was like, "Here, try an enema bag." Yeah, this
Oh,
is everything you need. Like, how much? Like, oh, by the way, have a colonic and do some enemas. You're
oh,
fine.
would be, yeah. That would have been game changing, like would be game changing for so many people. Imagine if they did that, gave you like a proper stool kit and were like, here's some herbs, these are probiotics, do regular enemas, and off you go. Like it would just be such a different approach to healthcare.
I know. And it's so much so having your tools. It's like your toolkit. I always go back to that because I am someone that likes control. And I think so many people love to have control over their own health and their own body. And an enema kit gives you that. And it's like having the education to feel confident in what you're doing and why you're using it. So we're really big on education and how to use it and making sure that people feel empowered and not like scared to do enemas, because that actually totally changes your experience as well. When
Yeah.
you feel super empowered and excited and you're like, oh my God, like I got to do this, your experience is tenfold better than, oh my gosh, I've like ordered this online and it has no branding. And I don't know like if anyone's ever done this and I'm weird. And, like we're just trying to strip all that fear away because these are life changing things and they have been around forever. Enemas are not something new. It's just something that has been swept under the rug by pharmaceuticals, I would say. And, just getting back to basics, opening up your detox pathways and giving your body that natural support at home is it's a
Yeah,
game changer for
I
any
think,
part of health.
yeah, and I think the biggest thing is, like you said, the taboo you're breaking around it. So for you guys listening, we'll chat through the links in a second. But when you buy the kit, you get access access to the Happy Bum Co Facebook group, which is just incredible. But again, it's another resource you have where A, you're connecting with other people going through the same stuff, and B, it takes away the stigma, the taboo, the this, where you feel like I'm doing it by myself and I don't know, and like I've got questions and who do I ask? And it's just, yeah, it's a community.
And that's what I wanted because I felt so alone when I was growing up. And I thought I was the only person in the whole world that wasn't having bowel movements. And, it was so embarrassing. It was so awkward. And this is what I would have wanted. And now I've found my people, when I started working in colonics, and I was like, oh my God, okay, I love this. And then, yeah, when we created the Happy Bum Co, it was just so natural to try to connect everyone who's feeling alone. So it's very isolating, especially if you've got chronic disease. And to even just share tips and experience, and everyone in there is just so beautiful. They're always happy to help with their tips, and I've tried this, and I hang my bag here and I do this. And it's, yeah, we've got people who are fighting cancer all the way through to PTSD and constipation and autoimmune disease. And hearing people's stories and the benefits that they've received it's why we do what we do, but it's just amazing.
Yeah, incredible. So I think there's going to be a lot of women listening who are like, yes, I want to learn more. I want to get my hands on it. So the best places to find you is at Happy Bum Co, one word, on Instagram. There's heaps
Mhm.
of, yeah, and you post an awesome reel. I reshared it this morning of you doing it on Enema Kit the other day. And I was like, oh, this is so good. Like, this is what people need to see, in a sense, to go, oh, it's not that scary. Like, if she can post a video of herself doing it, in a sense, like, how bad can it be? And then you've
Super
got,
comfortable, super
yeah, your
easy.
kids were jumping on you, I think, as well. And I was just like, this is just life, like, and it should just be a normal part of life. And then you've also got your Bayside Colonics. So where is the Bayside Colonics based?
So that one's in Brisbane, so in the Bayside suburb. So we're just in Wynnum in Brisbane.
Yeah,
But we do have people from all over the country fly in they'll often come for 3 to 5 sessions. Like, often people fly in, do a session a day for a week and fly home. And yeah, it's awesome. It's like
yeah,
Bayside Colonics is my first little baby.
yeah.
And yeah, it's such amazing field, amazing therapists I've trained. And yeah, that's an amazing space too. If you're really suffering with constipation, oh my God, just come and see us. But at home all the time, wellness, your enema kits, and just to have that tool. So most of our clients will go home with an enema bag, and we teach them how to use it, and they just love it. And they use it in between sessions, and they use it for whenever they need. Like, they'll come in and be like, oh, I was feeling a little bit sick or unwell, so I did a coffee enema, I did my soothe bulb, and just like you said, and it went so good. Like, I love it when people like watch the videos and they're like, oh, great, well, I'm just going to do this. And then they come in and they tell us exactly what they've done and how it helped. And now I'm going to go home and I'm going to do this. And it's like, it's fab.
Yeah, that's amazing. Because yeah, I think the both your Instagrams would be great learning tools for people as well, just to start to get their head around it if they've never heard of it before and go, oh, that's
Yeah.
incredible. Or if you're like, yes, I've been looking for a kit, then you can also jump onto happybumco.com, which is your website, which I will link all in the show notes as well. But I think even your website's got a heap of resources on it. I'm pretty sure there's
Tons.
heaps on there. Yeah.
Tons. You can even download a free stool chart. You can do whatever you need to do. There's every description. And what we've done is we've created bundles specific to what people are needing support with. So there's like a women's hormone balance bundle, there's a mental health bundle, there's a pregnancy bundle, there's a liver detox and heavy metals bundle, there's just the beginners kit if you want to start there and just get started with coffee enemas, and then you can add in some bulbs later, whatever it is that you feel comfortable with starting, or we've just given those recommendations. There's also live chat too, so you can reach out to us anytime. But every bundle kit also comes with a recipe guide and full instructions of everything. So how, when, what, why, all the FAQs, how to prepare the blends, and there's videos on every blend as well. So you can't mess it up. It's
Amazing.
so easy.
Yeah, so much
You just
work has
gotta
gone into
take
that.
the plunge, or just
Yeah,
like order it, get it, and then just try it. Just open it up straight away and do your first enema, and you'll be like, oh my God, okay.
yeah, and then post in the Facebook group.
Post
Be
in
like,
the
"We did
Facebook
it."
group. Send a selfie with your bag.
Yes. Oh, amazing. I love all of that. I've loved our chat today. This is one of the favorite podcasts I've done in ages. So thank you so much for coming on. I so appreciate it because so many people are just going to love this chat and love you and love what you've created. So thank you. I really, really appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so sweet. I'm delighted to be here. So thank you for having me on.